Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the second half on Pure West Sport with Eaton Evans and Morris Solicitors. The show is live right now on the Facebook page as well as all the usual places you listen to Pure West Radio across Pembrokeshire. And joining us on the show tonight will be the Neyland cricketer Patrick Bellaby as his side continue their fine record in the Dougie Morris Cup. They beat Carew yesterday in what was pretty much the only cricket match played across the county over the weekend. It was quite wet on Saturday, wasn't it? We will also look ahead to the Olympic Games with the opening ceremony in Paris on Friday, with Jazz and Mickey flying the Pembrokeshire flag with pride as part of Team GB. We want to hear from you through the show, and for the final part, when we will talk about your favourite Olympic Games memories as well. Fraser Watson hopefully will be joining us very shortly, but Gordon Thomas is standing by in the studio in Haverfordwest. Evening to you, Gordon.
Good evening, Ben. It was a washout on Saturday, a complete washout. It was awful in Pembrokeshire. I don't know what it was like up with you.
Yeah, it was a shame, wasn't it? That did put pay to the cricket on Saturday.
Yeah.
Every match was abandoned. So we'll come to that in just a sec, because the Dougie Morris did take centre stage, and it was a pretty exciting final yesterday. But we do actually start the show on a sad but also very important note, because we wanted to start this evening by paying tribute to someone who has passed away. The Pembrokeshire Football League social media today posted that with great sadness they write the post with the news that Brian Hawkins sadly passed away. They describe Brian as a highly respected member of the Pembrokeshire League, and his passing is a great loss, and they say deepest condolences go to his wife Tracy, daughter Hannah, and all of the family. A really sad day for Pembrokeshire football. Brian was someone I've interviewed plenty of times over the years. Gordon will have done as well. In the time we've been doing this show, he's been a guest 5 or 6 times, always willing to come and talk about Pembrokeshire football. A true gentleman of Pembrokeshire sport, Gordon, we've lost, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a very, very sad, poignant day today to be told that Brian has passed away. I mean, he was the top man with the Pembrokeshire Football League. He had big boots to fill many years ago. Eddie Oliver had stepped down, and Brian came into the fold, and new technology was coming in at the time, and Brian got to grips with that, and he did the results tables, fixtures, he arranged everything. He was a real leader as far as the Pembrokeshire Football League was concerned. He was even involved with the West Wales Football Association. But more than that, I counted him as a good friend. When I was at the Telegraph, we had many a conversation, awkward conversations, good conversations, but he was never afraid to answer. And I considered him a very, very good friend. And I'm really, really deeply sorry to the family, his wife and daughter, Tracy and Hannah. My heartfelt condolences to them and the rest of the family. But Pembrokeshire have lost a great, great person in Brian Hawkins, and he'll be well remembered. He'll never be forgotten for what work he did for the Pembrokeshire League. It was top notch.
Gordon, beautifully put. And I remember interviewing him like years ago, quite often at the Sport Pembrokeshire Awards. Actually, he'd be there, and Bill and I would interview him. And in the time we've done this show as well, and as you say, if we ever wanted him to come on, he always would. And even if it was a difficult subject, he wouldn't duck that. I always thought he loved talking about football. And actually, during the Euros, I was putting some tweets out about Gareth Southgate, and he tweeted me and said, I agree what you're saying about the England team playing good football, but I don't think Southgate's the answer. And we had a nice backwards and forwards, and that was only a couple of weeks ago. I always got the feeling he loved talking about football, but in particular Pembrokeshire football. And I think for any league across Wales, across the UK, for any amateur football league to succeed, you need someone like a Brian Hawkins doing it, because they are the people that give up their time. They take flack. It's often a thankless job, but they do it because they love the game. And that's some legacy, I think, that he leaves behind, Gordon.
100%, Ben. Nail on the head. He's been a fantastic servant, as I reiterate, for Pembrokeshire football. But he was a gentleman as well, Mike. He was a big Liverpool fan. We often had a bit of banter between him and I with Man United Liverpool. I chuckle at some of the things he said to me. But he was a great character, and he's gone too young, way too young. And as I keep saying, he will be sorely missed because he did so much good work for Pembrokeshire football. And they're big boots to fill. Brian Hawkins's boots are going to be big to fill. But yeah, great man.
Yeah, and I echo what Gordon said, and all the team at Pure West Radio, we pass on our condolences and very best wishes and all our love to Brian's family. He will be hugely missed, and clubs across Pembrokeshire, I've noticed, have already started paying tribute, from Haverfordwest County to all the clubs in the Pembrokeshire League. He will be greatly missed, and that will be, as the new season kicks off, a sad start. And you feel that in some way, Gordon, and it's very early days to talk about it yet, but Pembrokeshire football will remember and will honour Brian in some way. I'd be certain of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have the curtain raiser coming up. It wouldn't be a bad idea. It's only an idea to possibly start off a Brian Hawkins Memorial Trophy as a curtain opener, for the season. He deserves that.
Well, listen, if you've got any messages or memories of Brian, please leave them on our Facebook page, and be more than happy to read those out as we go through this part of the show. I think we should continue talking about Pembrokeshire football, because that was what Brian loved, and that's what he would want us to do this evening, Gordon. And what I love about Pembrokeshire football is, and we spoke about it in the first hour, and Fraser did a great interview about it, actually, about the Weaver Callan Cup. I love the pre-season tournaments and the pre-season games that are played, and quite often they are Memorial Cups, but there's loads of tradition to those pre-season games, and we're at that time of year, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we got the John Bailey Cup with Goodwick, the Michael Thomas Cup with Clarby.
The Jubilee Cup.
The Jubilee Cup is the one I would like to see now. The Brian Hawkins Memorial Jubilee Cup. That sounds quite nice, doesn't it?
It does.
The Division 1 and Senior Cup winners to play each other as a curtain raiser for the start of the season. That's going to be played at Monkton Lane coming up. So, yeah, there's a lot of memorial. I mean, Stevie Callan, I played with him many years ago at Pembroke Borough as a kid. And I mean, Stevie died, he was only 50. That was a sad occasion as well. His son, Jamie, was skipper of Monkton Swifts, who went on to win many league titles and senior cups.
So, we heard from Jamie in the first hour. Fraser interviewed him. Yeah,
Jamie's a top lad, and he's done a lot of good work, and is to remember his own dad, and he's very fondly remembered in those circles down in Pembroke Dock as a Pembroke Borough player. He played for Penna Robbins, Monkton Swifts. I'm not sure whether he played for Hundleton, but they are involved.
It's interesting though, because they're friendlies officially, their pre-season build-up games, but there's always a bit of a competitive element when there's a trophy or a cup to be won. So it does sharpen sides up, I think, ready for the new season, doesn't it?
100%. It's ideal preparation for the start of the season. You need games. Yes, they are friendlies, but you've got to start getting into the match fitness and all that. And these competitions, with your training, are ideal preparation before the season starts. They're competitive games. And I think all teams enjoy taking part in whatever competition they're at. I mean, there's the Eddie Merry in Fishguard as well. I know Solver have got one as well. I mean, most of the teams have got some sort of memorial cup being played now.
And you actually want to start by winning a trophy, don't you, as well? It's a great way to start your season, you know?
Yeah, it's ideal, isn't it? Everybody wants to win some silverware. It doesn't matter what level it's at. It's nice to get a trophy in the cabinet, so to speak, in the early doors.
Absolutely right. Now, I'm interested in your views on this, Gordon. Sim bins are being introduced in FAW football across Wales this season, including in Pembrokeshire. So we will see a new set of rules. Players can be temporarily dismissed, and I'll get into the kind of details behind how this will be. It's called a temporary dismissal. Get there in the end, which will be issued by a ref, and it will basically deal with dissent. So the ref would show a yellow card and signal with two hands towards the touchline. The player would then have to leave the pitch for a minimum of 10 minutes during a 90-minute match, which will only begin when play restarts after the player has left the field of play. The ref has been instructed to extend the temporary dismissal period for any time lost for stoppages. Once the temporary dismissal period is over, the player gets waved back on. And there's a few points to this, and I'd like to get your views. First of all, let's try and break it down a bit. Is this a good way to stamp out dissent in the game, or would it be easier just to send them off?
Good point, Ben. It is. It's going to be difficult for referees, I think, to implement it, as they don't have touch judges in Pembrokeshire League football unless it's a cup final or a big cup match. So it's solely on the referee to implement like we do in rugby, the yellow card 10 minutes in, and he's got to keep an eye on how that's implemented. You could imagine 2 or 3 being sin-binned at the same time as well. That could be awkward as well. But it's something that the FAW are determined to try and stamp out, bad language and everything else that comes with it, So we'll see how it goes. I'd be interested to know how clubs are going to take this on board and what their feelings are. It'll be interesting to know, how they see it.
Just a bit more, because the actual administering of this doesn't sound easy. So if a player's already had a temporary dismissal in the game and been waved back on, and then get booked again, that then basically equals a second yellow card. So they don't get another temporary dismissal. 1 temporary dismissal, 1 yellow card equals a red. So I think where I'm coming from is that I think the spirit of it, or the idea behind it, isn't bad, and it's probably being brought forward from the right place. And I know we do get refs who listen to this show. It does feel, and you made this point to me off air, it does feel like a bit of responsibility for the refs to keep up with.
Ben. Yeah, it is a big responsibility for grassroots level. It's hard enough when we have discussions about VAR and they got all the technology. Putting that on grassroots football on a singular referee is a big responsibility, and he could be put in a very precarious, difficult situation.
Just some stats on why they think this needs to be dealt with. So 1 in 4 refs across Wales say they've experienced physical abuse refereeing a football match, which is absolutely disgusting. And
I agree.
There's absolutely no other word you can say for that. To physically abuse a match official is abhorrent, and I just ban players for life if they did that. 88% say they've had verbal abuse whilst reffing, and that's probably the area they want to clamp down on, the verbal abuse, because I guess if you spin this around, how are you going to attract new people to referee football matches if the level at grassroots football is that bad? You're not going to. It's a thankless job, isn't it?
It's hard enough now getting referees, but to bring this in as well is going to be really, really difficult for especially new referees as well coming into the game. A lot of referees have played the game as well, so they have a feeling for it. But it's still, I think, a very big responsibility having a yellow card system in grassroots football when you're the only official on the pitch.
Do you think it will protect refs a bit, Gordon, or potentially go the other way?
It could go either way, Ben. As you know, some people, like in rugby, they play in a true spirit, and it's a different game. They take it and just walk off. They don't argue with the referee. It's instilled in rugby, and they stay. But in football, it seems to be this culture where they will argue over a decision or a tackle or anything, and then the heat of the moment, they get carried away. Yellow card. It could incite a problem. Yes, I could see that.
I think we'll return to this before the season starts, and I'd love to hear from any refs who are watching or who might like to come on the show and have a chat about it. I think we also need to just establish whether it will be across all the divisions or just the top division in Pembrokeshire. The reason I say that is because as you go down the divisions, you obviously you have club refs, don't you, as you go down the divisions, and for all the will in the world, you feel that could be a difficult position for a club ref to be in. So
Yeah.
we'll check that as well. And any clubs, any players, how are you feeling about that sin bin coming in? Will it achieve what the FAW want it to achieve? And again, my starting position would be that the sentiment behind it is probably right. How it works in practice, we shall see.
Yeah.
Here we go. Matthew Trighow, 2 yellows equals a red, 1 sin bin and a yellow equals a red. Is there much difference? Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? I guess the difference is that the sin bin element is specific for dissent, isn't it? So
Yeah.
and you do have to leave the field. So in theory, what you're doing, you're putting your team a man down, aren't you? They'll be down a player if you get sin binned.
And Matthew Trighow is actually a second team manager with Goodwick United, so he will he'll have to keep his boys in check for the.
Well, here's the question. It's the question I'd ask you. Do you think this rule will get to the point where managers are saying to their players, cut the dissent, because if you do get a sin bin, you're going to make life difficult. We could lose the football match. Do you think it will get to that level in Pembrokeshire?
Who knows?
I can't
really answer that without trialing it. So I can envisage problems, Ben. I can.
And could you also see teams having 3 or 4 players in the sin bin after 25 minutes come the first day of the season?
That is possible.
Yeah.
That is possible.
All right, listen, I tell you what, I think we need to probably do a bit more on that. So we will return to that before the season starts in Pembrokeshire, because it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
And let's hope it works in the way the FAW want it to, I would say. We will take a moment. Before the end of the show, we are going to talk about the Olympics, because they start in Paris. We've got a couple of top Pembrokeshire athletes taking part for Team GB. So we'll talk about that very soon. Any Olympic memories? I'd like to hear some of those before 9 o'clock. But next, we will find out why Neyland continued their great run in the cricket in the Dougie Morris Cup. They won that again yesterday. Quite a good game, actually. Plenty of runs scored in a weekend where the rain stopped play pretty much everywhere else across Pembrokeshire on Saturday. We'll talk to Patrick Bellaby in a few moments' time. It's Monday evening. Really good to have your company this evening on Pure West Sport.
Ethan Evans